She doesn't hear us.
There she is. Alright. So, this is my grandma on my mom's side, and I am interviewing her for this history project. When and where were you born?
I was born in Indianapolis on May the 10th, 1944,
Alright.
at Methodist Hospital.
What are your parents' names?
Edward and Gladys Boswell.
Where have you lived throughout your life, and which was your favorite and why?
I always lived in Indiana, but after I got married, we moved to Mooresville. And then, 25 years ago, we bought the farm, and that's probably my favorite place.
Where we are now. So, what's your favorite childhood memory and why?
Probably going on picnics with my parents and my cousins. We would go to a place that my Uncle Bob mowed called Miss Gallagher's, and we would enjoy picnicking and swimming and mowing and having a good time.
Mowing?
Yes.
You would.
We get to use a riding lawnmower.
That was a privilege back then.
Oh yes, it was.
What is a piece of advice you'd give your younger self?
Patience, having more patience, and just learning to be a better person. I think today we need to learn to have patience and show love and understanding for one another.
Sounds good. If there was one thing you could change about my generation, what would it be? So Generation Z, or whatever you would call it.
Well, I can't keep up with all the names for the different generations, but just learn to accept people for who they are and not try to change people, because you're not going to be able to do that. And to have patience and always be responsible for your own actions. Try not to blame other people and find fault and find excuses when it's your own fault. And work hard and get an education, because you don't have a chance in life without a good education.
What is the best historical event you remember or experienced?
The best one? I guess the end of the Vietnam War, because that was a terrible tragedy and so many lives were lost and nothing was gained. And I think ending that was a good thing.
Worst historical event you remember?
Vietnam War was
sorry.
the worst, but another terrible tragedy I thought was when the Challenger exploded. And the first teacher who was in space died, and she didn't get to experience that and bring it back to the classroom.
Mm-hmm. Were there any historical events that made an impact on your life personally?
Well, it would probably be the Vietnam War, I would think, because that changed a lot of people. I know when the soldiers came home, they were treated terrible, and that's just not the right thing to do. People were pretty free then, and they just didn't do what they should have done. They should have not blamed them. But that's when everything was publicized. You saw no other war was publicized like the Vietnam War. Children were shown murdered, killed and set on fire and everything else. And it was just a terrible, terrible tragedy. And I hope we never see that again.
Well, Mom was talking about the one time, what was it?
The Watts riots.
Oh, I remember
You
them
walked
too.
into it with your sister in the convertible, right?
Yes, we went on vacation to Florida, and it was the first time we'd ever been away. California. And we was trying to find SeaWorld, and we ended up in the middle of the Watts riot. and there was all kinds of National Guard, and we finally found our way back in a way. But we never got to SeaWorld.
What is something you like about our new generation?
Well, I think the generation coming up maybe is more educated. and their use of technology is so much better than my
Yeah,
generation.
definitely.
My generation is afraid of technology. Your generation just grasp it and they can't get enough of it. And that's the difference between us. But I think technology can be a wonderful thing and it can be a terrible thing. And that's where they need to make sure that the bad is weeded out and the good is kept.
What type of person were you at my age? So 14 years old, freshman in high school. What were you like?
Oh boy, that's been a number of years ago. I don't know, I tried to do my best and not cause problems. I was not one that would go out there and try to be a troublemaker or a rebel rouser. I was more conservative and that's the way I grew up.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Tech High School and I graduated. I was there 6 years because Tech High School, we had 6th and 7th and 8th grade there also in the old Arsenal building. And then high school was in the other part of it.
So did you guys have like a junior high or middle school?
At Tech. Yeah, that was our junior high.
If you could meet anyone, celebrity or not, who would it be?
Well, it certainly wouldn't be the president.
Well, like in the past, if they're dead or something.
Oh,
if you could
somebody
meet-
dead?
Yeah.
Oh,
Or alive. It could be anyone. So.
anyone? Well, I don't know. I guess I would like to see Jesus and sit down and have a talk with him.
I wasn't expecting that one. I was expecting.
Because, you know, you read the Bible, and I've read it many times, and I just think there are questions in there, especially in the Old Testament. And, you know, in there he tells you to accept everyone for who they are and to love your neighbor as yourself. And I just think we need to practice more of those principles. I really do. I think sometimes we get so involved and greed gets the best of us sometimes because we want more and more and we don't want to accept people and we're not willing to give from our hearts. And I think we need to go back to the golden rule and treat others as you would want them to treat you.
I figured it was going to be Elvis.
I thought it was gonna be like some person from like
Paul McCartney, Elvis.
Now,
Was
they're entertainers, and I enjoy them, and I enjoy their music and everything. And growing up, you know, everybody had a crush on Elvis, but it was between Elvis and Pat Boone. Either you loved Pat Boone and hate Elvis, or you hated Pat Boone and loved Elvis. But I liked them both, so I was different.
All right. Last but not least, the hardest question on here: which would you give up, chocolate or coffee?
Well, for Lent one time I gave up chocolate, so I guess I could give up chocolate. Coffee, on the other hand, would be a hard sell.
But you could replace coffee with like tea.
No, you can't. Nothing can replace a good cup of Joe in the morning.
All right. So we're done with that. But our teacher said I had to add a clip on why I'm interviewing you, and he told us to interview the most influential person in my life, which I thought that was kind of unfair considering that like mom over there influenced me a lot, and you and like Patrick, my brother, my dad, everything
Right.
and stuff. So I thought maybe you would have like more interesting answers than like my brother, who's only been alive for like 16 years.
So what's
Yeah.
the question?
That was just it. Like I have to give you a reason why I interviewed you.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it would be fun to
Well,
interview.
older people have lived a lot longer.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
they've seen an awful lot. And, you know, I thought my grandmother experienced so many things when, you know, she was alive when they first had the airplane, the Wright brothers. And she saw Industrial Revolution and the beginning of the computer age and space rockets and everything. And then now I've lived in the computer age. And there's just so much. I mean, every day you read something where it's changed. You can get a computer today and it's out of date tomorrow. So, you know, it's just the world is advancing and you can't hold it back. You can't hold development back because you only hurt yourself in the process.
Are there any last words you would like to say to our audience?
Love one another, be patient, work hard, and get an education. That's, and be good to each other, because, everybody's going to be a little different, and nobody's going to be just like you. And you have to accept them for who they are, not who you want them to be.
All right. That concludes our interview.
That's Karen. That's one of ours. Here's mine. Here's my commencement. I think I got a picture. I got it someplace. See, my class.
It's a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. When my class
big school.
graduated, it was huge, and this was my diploma.
Awesome.
My camera refuses to focus.
He didn't get the acknowledgement at school.
Really, why?
Because she goes into savings credit union.
This is my grandpa's wrestling trophy for MVP.
Oh, I wish.
This is my grandma's TV, and it's larger than my expectations for society.